Okay, this is gonna be very fancy, so I go off screen every time I ask a question. How do you understand trauma-informed pedagogy when it comes to our school? When it comes to your own classroom? When it comes to individual students? So when I hear trauma-informed pedagogy, I know that this is a practice that is recognizing the impact of trauma on our students' learning and their lives. And it is also seeking to create a supportive environment for students to learn despite what they have been through. Along with that, these practices are seeking to not create additional trauma or harm on our students. This could look like digging too deeply for what our students have been through and re-traumatizing them, or creating a hostile environment in which students could be traumatized by the way that we have spoken to them or the way that we have treated them or through the curriculum that we are teaching. At a school-wide level, I imagine this would mostly look like creating policies that are promoting safety and trust and transparency for our students. Additionally, this could look like providing professional development for our teachers so that they know how to appropriately talk to students and handle issues of trauma in our school. This could also look like collaborating with mental health professionals. So we could have mental health professionals come into our schools or come in to talk with our teachers so that either our school has the resources that our students need that we can provide to them if these issues arise, or teaching our staff how to handle issues of trauma and harm that our students may be facing. And overall, we want to, as a school, create an environment that is welcoming to all of our students, no matter what. At a classroom level, I would start by heavily focusing on building relationships with my students. This would be based on mutual trust and respect. We can also create a supportive learning environment for all of our students by providing predictability and routine, because this helps a lot of students. If they know what to expect every single day, then they might be more successful and be less likely to be kind of thrown around and whiplashed. So if they know what to expect, then they may be more set up for success. And we can also, as a classroom, provide spaces for our students to calm down. We've talked a lot about calm down corners in my classes, but this could look like providing a space for students to go when they are feeling overwhelmed or sad or angry, so that they can minimize these triggers that are occurring in the classroom and take a moment to regain and recompose themselves before coming back to the classroom to learn. And at an individual level, I imagine that this would look like empowering students to teach and teaching them how to advocate for themselves and their feelings as important, as well as providing them additional individualized support, so providing them with resources that they may need or giving them a space to talk about what they're going through. This support, again, can look like checking in with them as they're needed and appropriately accommodating some needs that they might have. Like if I have a student that says the bright light is really overstimulating, it's causing me a lot of emotions, I can't learn, then maybe covering the lights or not turning on the bright lights or something like that. How do you understand your own role when it comes to caring for the teachers around you and your own self-care? What are some things you might do to care for yourself and for other teachers? I feel like one of the biggest things we can do for our fellow teachers is to support them as they need support. I would personally start by checking in with them, making sure that they know that they're doing a great job, they're doing the best they can, and that they're making a difference in the lives of our students. If I notice that a teacher might be struggling, I would do my best to reach out to them and see what support that I can give them, whether that looks like providing them with tips and tricks for self-care or how to manage their feelings in the moment, or providing them with additional resources outside of what I can provide. I feel like as a school, one thing that we could do to create a supportive learning environment for not only our teachers but our staff as well, is to have a place that they can receive additional resources, as well as everyone being there for each other. We all know that this is a hard job. This is not something that's easy. So having a space that teachers can go to receive additional support, as well as having someone they can rely on for additional support is important as well. I imagine that this support system among teachers and having those additional resources would be highly beneficial, since we are people who know what each other are going through. What is your philosophy around student discipline and the role of the teacher and student administrator? So my philosophy surrounding student discipline might tend to be more on the relaxed side of things. I see in my own experience that there are students being disproportionately disciplined, especially students of color. What this looks like in the classroom is students being taken out of the classroom and placed in suspension. As a result, these students are missing school and become behind on their work, as well as becoming more behind than their peers may be. This is going to bring out more misbehavior because they don't understand what's going on, and if they don't understand what's going on, this is going to cause this series of distractions and misbehavior more often. And as that happens, then you're having students who are getting more disciplined and being taken out of school once again, in a sort of vicious cycle of discipline. I think that as a school, we should be relying more on restorative practices and trauma-informed education that are going to allow students, teachers, and administrators to address conflicts and disruptions in a way that will allow students to reflect on their behaviors and repair the bonds that have been harmed or strengthen the bonds that have been created. Addressing these conflicts in a healthy setting rather than relying on exclusionary methods would more likely be effective in reducing the behaviors that are occurring and keep our students in the classroom and learning. After all, removing students from the classroom isn't addressing the behaviors of our students and is just punishing them, especially in these cycles of harm against students of color. So I definitely have more of a relaxed idea of what discipline should look like, and that doesn't involve excluding students from school. In this scenario, let's say a student has missed 5 consecutive days of school and returns the following week to share that he was supporting his mother who was sick. Later that day, he begins to cry and yell at a student for something very minor. How would you handle this situation? So the first thing that I would do is separate the two students. I would let the other student, the one who was yelled at, know that I will be back with them to check on them as soon as I can. And then I would pull the acting student aside to talk immediately. Similar to earlier, I need to check in with this student to make sure that they are all right and come to an agreement that taking our stress or anger or big feelings out on other students is not a healthy way to cope. After the student has calmed down and we are able to begin talking, I would check in and see what I can do for the student. I'm going to make sure that I'm not digging too deeply into what's going on with the student, but let them more know that I am here to support them and how they need to be supported. I would find out what I can do for them in the moment and let them know that if they need, they can go speak to a school counselor for more support. From there, I would dismiss the student to start going back to class. And I would then go talk to the other student who was yelled at to make sure that they're okay, see what I can do for them, and provide them with additional resources if they require more support. From there, I hope to hold some sort of restorative meeting between the two so that we can get to the bottom of some sort of apology as needed, and so that the other students know, so this student may know that they're not mad at them, something just small happened, they just got a lot going on. and see if we can repair that bond between them. And then lastly, I would talk to a school administrator to know, to let them know what's going on with the situation, and see if we can check in with the family, especially with the mother who was sick, and see if we can provide them with additional resources and make sure that they're doing okay as well, because our students' home environment is also incredibly important to them, and knowing that we're doing what we can to support the family means we're also supporting the student. So now we're going to give you a quick few minutes to ask some questions that may be important to you. So we'll let you take the floor. Thank you. I just had a few questions, something that was really important to me. We've been talking a lot about trauma-informed pedagogy and maintaining healthy relationships with our staff and our students. But I would like to know what your trauma-informed pedagogy or trauma-informed philosophy looks like at a school-wide level. I would also like to know what sort of disciplinary actions and philosophies that you have. Do you rely heavily on giving detentions or suspending students? And if so, how can we begin to focus on more of a restorative practice so that students are not being taken out of the classroom and punished for behaviors? And then lastly, what resources do you provide for teachers and students amidst struggle and trauma? Thank you, that's all.